Those who know me would probably say that I've been a longtime Google evangelist and even a fanboy when it comes to all of the search giant's products and services. Up until recently, they would have been correct. Google's slow change from being a titan of innovation to a ticking time bomb of mind-blowing branding decisions, rushed and redundant app releases, and alarmingly volatile lifespans for many of their products and services. As someone who follows the tech world pretty closely, especially that of the big G, this downward spiral has been existent for a very long time. However, it's getting to the point where even the common consumer is noticing. The latest in this line of big upsets was the release of rumors surrounding a new music streaming service that would apparently bring an abrupt and frankly unnecessary end to the popular service Google Play Music. Although I can likely speak for everyone when I say that the Google Play rebranding in 2012 wasn't well thought out, Google's music service has been a fan favorite since the start. It was originally designed as a way for you to upload your music, have your library organized, and then access it from any of your devices via the cloud. I was a day one adopter, as I usually am with most of Google services, and despite some normal bugs here and there, I can confirm that the service was amazing. That got even better in 2013 when Google announced All Access, a subscription service that beat every other platform in terms of features and still does in many ways. Again, I signed up the moment it was announced and instantly fell in love. It was the first music service I subscribed to, and although I've tried others, I kept coming back to Google Play Music because of the ability to upload your own library and have it integrated with the all-access library content seamlessly. I've used Google Music literally every day since its release, and it's by far my most used app ever, only closely followed by Hangouts and Google Photos. As such a big user of this service, I was shocked and angered by these rumors to the point where I actually felt sick to my stomach. I'm sure I'm not alone when I say that I'm absolutely terrified of losing my library of close to 40,000 songs and 200 playlists. This brings us to the reason why I made this video in the first place. Google, I think it's time we sat down and had a little chat. For years, you've been slowly becoming a fragmented and incohesive mess. Your once tight and seamless line of services have been killed off, split up, abandoned, or often never even given a chance. Instead of releasing a solid, well-branded app or service that gives a meaningful addition to your lineup, you continue to just neuter existing services by silently removing features without explanation, abruptly ending support for apps that were widely used and enjoyed, and splitting apps apart to be used for entirely different things than the current user base is doing. The best example of this is Hangouts. Although it was a confusing naming scheme to spin off of a dedicated video chat service, Hangouts was a solid messaging platform. It only required a Google account, it used your Google contacts, it had a cross-device sync and desktop support, it integrated amazingly well with Android and its sharing capabilities, and group chats worked well too. To top it all off, it even hadn't supported SMS messages, making it the go-to all-in-one messaging app for Android users. Most of my friends and family have been users since its release, and we've had pretty much no complaints. That is, of course, until you removed SMS support for no reason, and then began to retool Hangouts as a business-centric competitor to Slack. What? To make matters worse, we never even got a replacement. Sure, we got Allo and Duo, neutered versions of yet again an already existent and well-performing app that were split off and segregated into their own apps. Allo had some fun toys and a shiny coat of paint, but it lacked things people actually cared about, like desktop and SMS support. Oh yeah, and a user base. Duo is fine, I guess, and I appreciate that it's being seamlessly integrated into the dialer, but the name will confuse people if there's ever a group video chat feature added. Again, if Hangouts were integrated this way, it would have been much more effective. It would have worked for everyone, seeing as that you need a Google account to use an Android device anyhow, and the name works for both two people or a whole party. It's one of the many things that the geniuses over at Apple have yet to copy and then claim they invented for FaceTime, and it would have been yet another clear advantage of Android had it been handled properly. It is just endlessly baffling to me how the most valuable company in the world, who is decades ahead in AI research, machine learning, and pure market share for many of its services, can continue to sabotage their own brand so frequently. If someone like myself, who has had a Gmail account and pretty much everything that followed since day one, who keeps up to date with every little update, is confused about what's going on, how would a regular person even dream of not being confused? Say what you want about Apple, I know I usually do, at least they're somewhat consistent. They release the same phone every year under a bigger number and price tag, copy a few features here and there that usually users are aware of, and then they're able to use. Unless you're like me, subscribing to tech blogs galore, you're unaware of 90% of the things that Android or Google services can do. Why? Because the world's largest advertising company doesn't know how to advertise and market anything themselves. People don't even know what Android is. Is it an iPhone or a Samsung? I'm tired of constantly having to explain to people that Samsung phones are actually Android phones. No, they're not all called droids. No, they're not for poor people. And yes, your phone can do all these amazing things. Alright, Google, listen up, because I'm about to lay out my patented plan to cut off all the unnecessary and redundant bloat you've created. I'm going to fix your naming and branding nightmares and consolidate your ecosystem into something that doesn't want to make me shoot myself. Get out a pen and pencil or open Keep, because you're going to want to take notes, or just hire me. We're going to divide this into 4 really important steps. Up first are your main apps and services. One of your biggest issues right now, and something that I'm going to continue touching on, is brand identity. People have no idea that you're behind all these amazing services and platforms. Fixing this is easy. Slap your name on everything. Your boys over at the Big Fruit do it, and it works for them. If you're inventing this stuff to begin with, you might as well be recognized for it. Starting with a broad stroke, the Google Play thing is just going to be scrapped. I've tried, and I cannot play books or magazines. I just get a paper cut. Find whoever thought of this and put them in timeout. It will be renamed the Google App Store. I've named it that because it's where you get apps for all your Google devices. Android, Chrome extensions, Chrome OS. No more playing around. You've got Google Books, Google Games, Google Music, Google Movies. You can call it G Music, G Movies, whatever for short. It ain't nothing but a G thing, Google. Going back to the reason I made this video in the first place, any YouTube music streaming service is canceled and scrapped immediately. There will be a dedicated section of YouTube for music videos similar to YouTube gaming. YouTube musicking? We'll work on it. Find the intern who came up with YouTube Remix. It sounds like it's just for electronic music. Take away his college credit, lock him in his dorm. Google Music, the rightful heir to the music throne, will have expanded music video functionality. Next. Google's messaging service problem basically needs an exorcism because of all the apps that have died along the way, but I'll give it my best shot. Allo is shut down. It's removed from the Play Store and any history books. It's put in a mass, shallow grave. Find the intern responsible for this. He's going to be digging the holes. Given all the buzz about RCS and Google's hopeful new chat standard, Android Messages is now renamed to Google Chat, or simply Chat. Has a nice ring to it. It's probably something about not being in French. It also reinforces that this chat standard is something from Google. Google finds where the Allo and Hangouts teams are being locked up, lets them out so they can release a desktop client for chat that doesn't require your phone to be on. It uses your phone number for sign up and a Google account for desktop and contact syncing features, among others. Hangouts is rolled back all the way to its original use, video chat. This is Google's FaceTime. Hangouts will of course be its own app, exclusively for video calling. Duo is removed from existence, and its dialer integrations, along with the other handy features, are absorbed into Hangouts. When in a Hangout, Google Chat will be what is used for text communications. You have the option to have the conversation for the Hangouts go right in line with your regular chat conversation, or to be separate and accessible through some sort of log or list of video calls. This is also a useful feature for when you're initiating a Hangout off of a group chat, but one or more of the members of the group chat do not join the Hangout. Hangouts for Business is one of the more impressively dumb things I've heard in a while. Hangouts Chat and Hangouts Meet? Just fire the guy who made this decision, rehire him as the janitor, make him flush the drugs he was on down the toilet, then take out the trash, that is his own ideas, and then fire him again. Google Chat and its video counterpart, Hangouts, will simply have a business tier that are unlocked through the Apps for Business suite. They can be used with your Google business address and then easily alongside your personal stuff if you wish. Google Photos is pretty much perfect. Since Google is basically Skynet, we'll just send a Terminator back in time to stop the guy who will likely try to kill this app or turn it into another messaging app. Maybe some more options on how people sort their stuff via folders, but you guys are doing great. Give these guys a little raise, then double the salary, then cut it in half. Android Auto is now Google Auto. Maybe make it work with iPhones too, so maybe those poor saps in the sheep camp can use a Maps app that won't drive them into lakes. Google Drive and its apps are fine. I know it has a bare-bones chat system that probably doesn't really need to be touched. A Google Chat plus Hangouts integration for everyone, or just for businesses, might be an interesting thought. I don't know. Google Voice will be slowly integrated into the dialer and chat apps. When complete, it will be phased out as well. We need to be very careful of how we handle this, since Google Voice is such an old product that many people rely heavily on today. We need to make sure that all these features are integrated seamlessly and perfectly before the original app Google Voice is phased out. Hangouts and Gmail would be replaced with Google Chat, although it might be redundant if Google Chat's going to have a desktop or web client too. Files Go needs to go. It's a dumb name, just give the guy a silent lunch. I like the idea, and it works well. We just need to expand this into a feature-rich file manager that can become the new default on Android. We'll keep all the current features of Files Go and just put them under some separate tabs in the File Manager app. It'll be renamed to Google File Manager, or File Manager for short. It would have Google Drive integration for backup of documents and app data. You can send files over NFC like you can now through Chat and Gmail. You would also have an auto-generated folder in Drive called X Device Backup, and you could choose which areas to back up and when. This is used for security and peace of mind, as well as when you get a new phone, you'll have the option to beam all the data from your previous device onto your new one in the exact same place or choose a new external storage location. This file manager will also be released for Chrome OS. Modify it however it needs to be. Since it's named Google File Manager, let's also release it on the PC and include it in Happy Meals on the Mac. I like the Google Pay rebrand. That's nice. We just need to allow it to actually be used in more places somehow. That'd be great. Also, we'll put integration for that into Chat and Gmail. Although I know one of these just came out, I think Google Tasks and Keep are maybe fine being separate in my opinion. We can combine them and make them Google Organizer. However, both need to have much higher integration into Calendar. I'm going to go a little bit more into detail about Google Fit and Wear OS in step 3, but I think that Google Fit needs a huge overhaul. We need to make the app much more feature-rich in similarity to Fitbit or Runtastic. We either need to acquire some smaller apps to add to our app, or just add a team to make some of these features from scratch. We also need to integrate Project Baseline. We need food logging, workout logging, and heavy Wear OS integrations. We also want to integrate this into Google Plus for friends list and score tracking. Any workout tutorials and whatnot can be followed in a section of the app that uses Google Plus's communities and YouTube as a video source. Say what you will about the platform, but I think that Google Plus needs to return to the spotlight. In the time of Facebook's downfall, there needs to be somewhere those poor brainwashed refugees can go. Google Plus just makes sense. It ties into every one of Google's services and unifies them under one roof. If you RSVP to an event or have a contact with a birthday coming up, it automatically adds it to your calendar. You can opt to share your location with certain circles or for certain events so your circles can know you're there. You can share music playlists and YouTube videos with seamless account integrations. Google Groups would be absorbed into communities to give a very strong place for people to discuss topics and questions. Your reviews for businesses and apps have the options of being shown here, as well as your contributed photos. Page badges could be introduced as a cool way of showing how you use other Google services. You could show that you're a level 10 guide, you've been a Googler for 10 years, you're a developer, you're a YouTuber. There's a lot of possibilities here. Google's game service would also get pretty heavy integration. This would be a huge backbone for the service that Apple could pretty much never have. You could have achievements and leaderboards displayed right in your profile if you wanted. It uses your Google contacts and circles to create friends lists for your games and makes multiplayer everywhere seamless, especially for Daydream apps. Easy multiplayer VR would be a great selling point for Daydreamer cardboard headsets, and it could be pretty easily done. Everything is already there, you just have to put it together. Apps like Expedition, Jamboard, Trips, Express, Data Ally, they're all very cool tests, and I think once they're developed, popular, or mature enough, someone needs to look at maybe integrating them into existing services. Android platform as a whole, Google Plus, Google Maps, whatever. Since Google is clearly very poor at making these decisions as of late, I think that an external panel needs to be created that consists of Google power users, Google fans, and maybe people that are in the iOS camp to give some external opinions. I think a good way to compensate people for these occasional services would be to always give them passes to I/O every year, along with a care package now and then of the newest gear, whether it be phones, watches, tablets, whatever. They also need to be able to sit in on some meetings, whether it be through video calls or whatever, so they can always be in the know about these big decisions that are being made about products and apps. These panel members can suggest additional features for whatever products they're testing, or if they need more dev time, or if they just need to be scrapped entirely or integrated into another service. This needs to be done for pretty much every decision going forward, because things like killing off Play Music, releasing hundreds of chat apps, and having absolutely terrible names will be a thing of the past, with people making these decisions that not only know the platform and the services by heart, but the community of people that use it as well. These people not only know what they do and do not like, but they also know, in general terms, what the community does and does not like as well. People like Marquez Brownlee, Lou from Unbox Therapy, Joshua Vergara, Dieter Bohn, Linus. These are all longtime Android users who are very honest and often pretty critical about Google's shortcomings. They've made hundreds of reviews of all these phones and services and know what works and what doesn't. They also have a direct line through their own channels or websites to talk to the community and get immediate feedback. They can then bring that feedback directly to Google and all together have a panel discussion and vote on what needs to be done about problems and new features that are going to be released. This bleeds right into our second step of the 4, Android. Currently, Android is plagued with many issues, the main one being that no one actually knows it even exists. This is because Google has let OEMs walk all over them for years. Yes, Android is open source, but it's no longer an experiment. It's the largest platform in the world and a serious competitor to iOS. It's time Google regains control and actually treats it that way. OEM policy needs to be much stricter. If OEMs want to use Play services, which will now be Google services, then they need to follow a stricter set of rules. Here's some new rules that will ensure every user has a familiar and unconfusing experience and will hopefully allow more people to know that they're actually using Android. From this point forward, all devices have to ship with the default 5 apps in the dock, in the same order. These will be the default Google Dialer, Google Chat, Google Chrome, Google Camera, and Google Photos. I don't know, the 5th one you guys can vote on. These 5 apps can, of course, be moved around, changed, swapped out, whatever, just like on any Android device. But the truth is that most people don't even move these apps to begin with or know they can be moved. Because of that, the default location just needs to be the same everywhere so everyone has a similar experience. This is especially imperative for Google Chat and the Dialer. These need to be the default, they need to take on iMessage and FaceTime, and they need to gain as much traction as possible. They don't need to have competition from whatever bullcrap the other OEMs are pushing out on top of it. Those apps, along with Photos, File Manager, Drive, Google Pay, Contacts, Maps, Calendar, etc., they all have to be the default apps when shipped. If an OEM wants to create a separate app, it has to be done through the Play Store and not at a system level. The only one of these that I could see maybe coming pre-installed is a camera app, but it has to have the same UI as Google's camera on top of whatever features the OEM wants to have to integrate with the hardware. Having separate versions of every app on every phone is dumb and confusing and pointless. Everyone needs to have a seamless experience that syncs with your Google account and works the same way. You don't need to have a Samsung account and an LG account and a whatever just to use your phone. It all needs to be one account and as simple as possible. System level skins are now a thing of the past. Google creates an app or a section in settings that can be unlocked in the same way that the system UI tuner is. Every phone needs to ship with the default Android skin. It needs to look the way that Google intended it to, so every phone looks the same and everyone can tell that they're using an Android device. To be honest, most users don't really care what the phone looks like anyway. Those that do can unlock the theme engine through the System UI Tuner and browse a list of official and community skins that can change anything from the look of the drawers to the dock to the icons, notifications, navbar, whatever. End of story. Every device will essentially now be shipped with stock Android. There are no more OEM-specific apps or skins at a system level, and that gives OEMs little reason to make their own mutilated version of Android. Google can still provide support for things like plugins or styluses, external storage, special camera hardware. OEMs are welcome to continue innovating and creating interesting hardware and software features. The end-user experience just has to be as similar as possible. OEMs are responsible for supporting devices for up to 5 years. This can be negotiated for very low-end devices, maybe to 1 or 2 years, but for premium devices that are over $700, it needs to be 5 years. This includes Android updates and especially security and bug fixes. Since OEMs no longer have to make their own twisted versions of Android, this shouldn't be very hard. Failure to do this, or follow any of the other rules, will result in a strike by Google and possibly a fine. After 3 strikes, you lose your right to use Google services and you pay a very heavy fine. After 6 months to a year, Google can take you out of timeout, tell you what you did wrong, and decide if it will let you go outside and make phones with everyone else at recess again. Instituting these rules, among others, and some guidelines will ensure that Google regains control of Android from the OEMs. OEMs have clearly shown that they don't care anything about Google or their services or promoting Android. They just use it as a platform to push their own features and apps. System-wide dark mode would also be nice. In order for apps to be featured on the Play Store or ranked very high, they need to support this and be material design as well. They need to follow any guidelines that Google puts out, period. Games can be an exception since the UIs are often very different. There are a lot of rumors going around about an Andromeda or Fuchsia OS that will merge Chrome and Android together. I'll be the first to say that the names are dumb. I'm using a phone, I'm not playing Mass Effect. If Google gets to the point where a new OS is ready to replace Chrome and Android, it will be called Google OS. I named it that because it's an OS made by Google. Alright, step 3. Physical products. All marketing or commercials for any device that is Google related needs to have a made by Google animation and have made by Google said somewhere in the commercial. You're using someone else's work, you might as well give them credit for it. Amazon continues to screw you over and be anti-competitive. It knows their products aren't as good as you and are taking the coward's way out. You need to have your products for sale on Amazon. It's the biggest marketplace online. Here's what you do. Disallow any Android-based Amazon devices from accessing Google services. Brick them as best you can. Remove any YouTube functionality from any of their Fire Sticks or whatever they call them. Remove the ability for Alexa to access Google for answers. Remove Amazon from Google search results. If Amazon wants to remove you from their stuff, it's only fair, right? They'll come around. Have the Bezos Meister sign off on something that says they won't be little punks anymore, and life will be good. Google stuff on Amazon, Amazon stuff has the Googles. Chromecast would be slowly rebranded to Google Cast or Gcast. Chromecast makes no sense naming-wise. Find the guy who came up with that, take away his parking spot. Pixel devices need external storage and a headphone jack. Headphone jack for probably another 5 years until it's completely replaceable and redundant. Expandable storage until there's a 1 terabyte Pixel for under $1,300. There's a website called Reddit. Just Google it. There's thousands of people who have said they will not get a Pixel because it lacks these things. If you're the only company that does offer a premium smartphone with the best Google experience and features that also has a headphone jack and possibly expandable storage, it'll be a no-brainer that people will buy your phones, as opposed to no one buying your phones because you've cut out a lot of your possible customers. And now it is time for the 4th and final step. The last step is admitting you have a problem. After you put these fantastic 3 steps into effect and have pretty much fixed all of your issues, you need to release a blog post or some sort of formal apology, put out an ad in the local newspaper, whatever you gotta do. You gotta apologize for all the grief you've caused for your loyal fans, then pledge that you will try your best going forward to put out the best products and apps you possibly can. The main purpose of this is to cure the phobia that many people have of you releasing products only to kill them. Countless people have stated they refuse to use your services because they think you'll just kill them or split them into 3 messaging apps in a year's time. If you can somehow convey that going forward with your panel and brand new ecosystem structure, there is no need to kill major apps and no way that it can happen again. If you do this, I sincerely think that it will go a long way towards repairing the brand image that you've impressively destroyed over the last couple years. I know that I didn't go over every little Google service and go into everything in depth, but these are the major glaring issues that seems to be affecting people and making people the most angry right now. I think that if you just take a little bit of time, and I think that we both know all of these things are completely possible, and all of these things can realistically happen within a year or 2 time. If you guys do this and reshuffle your entire ecosystem structure around from being completely terrible to arguably seamless and perfect, then you'll have no problem regaining all the trust and everything that you guys have lost in the past. I want to end this video by thanking everyone who's taken the time to watch it. I also want to ask a small favor. If you guys can somehow share this or run it up the ladder, put it in front of anyone who works at Google, knows someone who works at Google. We need to get this in front of many faces at the big G as possible. The main reason, again, I made this is because I know we're all upset at the possibility of Google Play Music ending, and I don't think that's the way that it should happen. This video kind of shows a lot of the things that Google's doing wrong and a lot of the things that they can do to fix it. But hopefully this wakes you guys up to the fact that you guys need to do something about literally all of your stuff before everyone abandons you completely for something else. You guys are in a position where you can have the best services in literally every category, but you don't just simply because of branding and ecosystem structure issues. I think that if you just get your heads out of your collective butts and listen to the people who actually use your products, then I think that you can shape this into something that no other company can reach. Again, thank you guys very much for sitting down and listening to me rant for however long this video ends up being. If you have any other ideas or suggestions about the way that things should be structured, I really look forward to hearing those in the comments, or seeing everyone else's ideas on the possible fixes to get this all straightened out.